Hello and welcome to another thrilling episode of Tom's DC. This is another how-to episode showing you how to change the oil on the Yamaha MT-01. Now, I generally change all my bike's oils every 5,000 miles regardless of what the manual says. The manual actually says for the MT-01 to change your oil every 6,000 miles and to change the filter every 12,000. Now, in this particular video, we're going to do them both at the same time. I'll always do that anyway, regardless. Now, with this particular bike, I have the regulator cover on it. What that means is the regulator is actually moved out of the way. Normally, in this process, you'd actually have to unbolt the regulator to get access to the oil filter. But in this case, we do not, which is great. The oil that we've chosen to go for is the Motul 5000 SAE 10W-40. This is recommended by OP Oils. All the links are below. And just a bog standard oil filter as well. Now, taking off the oil filter is actually quite hard. You probably will need a wrench. The old filter that I had on this one luckily had a nut on top of it. You'll need a 17mm socket to get the oil tank sump plug off and the engine sump plug as well. And you do it in two stages. You take out the oil filter, take out the oil sump, and then you take out the engine sump plug. And then basically leave it to drain and away you go. Now, this is my experience. It's just to show you how to do it and what to use. If you've got any queries or questions or even recommendations or criticisms, stick them all below and we'll go from there. Anyway, thanks for watching so far. Carry on to see the full rundown of replacing your oil. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe, and I'll see you later. By the power of Grayskull. Now, before we do anything, we need to make sure the bike is up to temperature. So let's do that. Just give it a little warm up. Now, before you begin, after warming the bike up, you need to remove the filler cap so that the oil drains quicker. And make sure you put your oil pan underneath. So first of all, please excuse the state of the bike. It's a little bit dirty, it does need a clean. So we removed the filler cap, and the first job we need to do, according to the manual, is to remove the drain bolt on the oil tank itself. Now this is this dry sump. Got to remove the oil tank drain plug, and we also need to remove the plug under here for the engine. First of all, we're going to remove the oil tank plug like so. There we go. It's very, very tight. Not sure why that was. This is the first time I'm doing the oil change on this bike. Okay, here it comes. It's always good to put a towel down as well. I think I might need a better oil pan than this one for future. There we go. You've got to let that just drain off now for quite a long time. And the next one you need to do is the bolt up on the engine here, or the plug on the engine. So in this case I'm going to have to move my pan back a little bit just to see if you can see that much more clear, a bit of light just up in there. These are just 17mm sockets, so you may need an extension on this one. It's just a case of exactly the same. Try the other way. I'm just going to move this out of the way so we've got a bit more room. That's loosened it. Again, make sure that your pan's in the right place. Just loosen it by hand. And when you take the plugs out, make sure you've got the ones, make sure you put them back in the right place. Don't put your engine plug back in the oil tank and vice versa. Oh, there we go. Now the best thing to do now is go and make a cup of tea and let the bike drain off properly. Okay, so once the engine's drained from the engine a good substantial amount, you need to remove the oil filter. Now you can see I've got a rectifier cover, and the rectifier cover actually lets you move the rectifier up, so I don't actually have to move the rectifier out of the way. So that's pretty good. So if you want a rectifier cover like this one, give me a shout and I'll put you in the right direction of the person that makes them. So first of all, you need to loosen the oil filter. Now this particular oil filter that's on the bike already has a spanner, like a nut on it. So you can just loosen it like so. Just move the wheel out of the way just to give us a little bit more room. There we go. You can loosen it by hand now. Put that down. You just pour the excess oil out from the filter into the pan. And again, you might need to go and make another cup of tea to wait for that to drain off. So here's the oil filter. Now if you're interested, this is the oil that I'll be using. It's a Motul 5000 Ford stroke 10 watt 40 semi-synthetic, and it was recommended on the OP Oil site. So you got 4 litre, 1 litre. The bike takes a full 5 litres. Got your oil filter here. Now before we do anything, it's always a good idea to give it a little bit, put a little bit of oil in it, new oil, and just go around the edges, around the oil seal with your finger. So just go around like that. And just put a little bit of oil in, not a lot. And then we go and fit that on the bike. Okay, so now we can refit the new oil filter. Now, it's really important that you do not cross the threads. There you go. Much easier from the other side with the right hand. Now, you should only ever really, and I've practiced on several bikes, ever tighten up your oil filter by hand. Now, that's entirely up to you. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying that's what I do. Otherwise, just basically until you can't tighten anymore. Otherwise, follow the manual torque settings. But literally until you can't do it anymore, hand tight, just get up any excess oil. Should be it. And one thing I forgot to mention is obviously you need to remove the cowling from under the bike, which is a straightforward job. That's it, nice seal, easy peasy. Actually it wasn't that easy, but working at funny angles. Okay, and now it's just a case of replacing the plugs.
I've been leaving this forever and it's still dripping. So put in sump plug 1, also the oil tank plug, like so. Just tighten up with your fingers for now. And then we just need to replace the plug at the rear for the engine. Again, making sure, put our work on the floor, making sure you do not cross any threads, because you'll be in trouble if you do. And I have done that. Not on this bike, but my old GSX 1400. I was under the bike, I wasn't concentrating, and I turned the sump plug the wrong way and threaded it. And that was not fun. New sump. You can helicoil, but I went for a new sump. Tighten it up. Make sure you follow the torque settings in the manual. Do not over tighten. When you fill the bike back up, it's always a good idea just to check to make sure there's no stray leaks or anything like that, especially from the oil filter as well. And now it's just a case of filling the bike up. Okay, so this is the oil of choice, which I've already shown you before. So the idea is that you need to fill up about 2.5 litres and then another 2.5 litres. So this is a 4 litre bottle. So I'm going to do 2.5 litres from here. Then you have to rev the bike up a couple of times just to get the oil going through the engine, and then fill up the rest of it. So let's do this. Okay, so that's now 2.5 litres into the tank. So we're going to start the bike up, give it a couple of revs, circulate the oil through, and then fill the rest of it up. So we take that out. And we now should be able to fill the bike up to the top. Okay, is that done? Okay, so now the bike is filled back up. Obviously, return the filler cap. Like so. Just check for primary leaks, just to make sure there's no leaks underneath, which I think we're good. Yep. And then it's just a case of taking the bike out, giving it a good warm through, and making sure that it gets up to temperature. Just run the bike, checking for any leaks.
Thanks for watching. That's how you change your oil in the Yamaha MT-01. which means I'm good for another 5,000 miles at least. So if this is your first time watching, please give me a subscribe and give me a like, and check out the links below. If you are a UK Yamaha MT-01 owner, check out the group link below on Facebook. We've got a really bunch of knowledgeable guys on there who've helped me out in the past and also helped me out with the oil change today. So it's worth checking it out. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.